It's 7:34. You already know that I'm over the Sisulu discussion. And I'm really glad to have been, I suppose, supported in that regard by Ongama's Mtinka's commentary a little bit earlier on, saying that she really hasn't secured a faction to back her, but is just kind of sticking her head out to say, I could be your leader. Yikes. But more interesting out of that discussion, I think, that came out was us starting to figure out a little bit more about the second chair, third and fourth and fifth, that come after the president in that top six. The Paul Mashatiles and the Gwede Mantashes, I think, are providing very interesting fodder, political fodder for us to turn our minds over, or to turn over in our minds. I agree with him that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma probably shouldn't be and is probably not interested in actually contending. But it starts to bring our attention to who else is left. If the Ace Magashulas of the world and his merry men, Carl Niehaus, etc., are suspended, who else is actually standing in the ring in order to play for some kind of power? It is interesting to me, for example, that COSATU, who generally do tend to wield quite a decent amount of power, are saying the party itself is dead. I don't know if that's a warning shot or if that's a throwing their hands in the air and starting to consider, how do we rebuild elsewhere? But all of that is happening in a ring that none of us has control over. And the only thing that we have control over, of course, is, the vote for or against this giant block once they've decided on their mess. And I, for one, am quite bored of having to sit here and ruminate over what kind of, not just politics, but I think, a little bit of backstabbing and childishness and loose sense of moral weight or political conviction waiting for them basically to argue over the scraps of my taxes before they then focus on governing the country. I hate that I feel like I'm on a political soapbox all the time, and I don't have a party that I necessarily support in South Africa, but one thing I know for damn sure, these guys have got to get run out of town. They've got to. And I rely on you to do that. I feel very strongly about that.
Breakfast with Refilwe Moloto
on Cape Talk.